I'm Peter. Welcome to Tarot with Bonnie and Peter, where we take the mystery out of the tarot and help you bring this ancient practice into everyday life. In this podcast, we'll talk about life, tarot, and everything in between. So grab your tarot deck, get comfortable, and start your journey to tarot with Bonnie and Peter. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Tarot with Bonnie and Peter. Yes, do not adjust your screens if you're watching. It is Bonnie and Peter, once again showing up in our Halloween garb. Bonnie, you were more creative this time around. I just recycled the same hat that I used last year just because it was easy and accessible.
But it suits you, Peter. It looks great.
To be honest with you, it's just anything I can do to have hair. That's what I'll do. So what we're going to do today is we're actually going to take a look at some Halloween spreads. Halloween spreads that we've developed. Bonnie and I, we've got a couple each. And we're going to share one. We're going to probably do one as well. What we did is we approached, I guess, the general Halloween themes and created questions around that. So I would always state, and we talked about this before on a previous episode, where Halloween's a great time. It's a great time to do tarot work for a variety of reasons. If we talk about the idea of the Wiccan pagan Wheel of the Year, you've got that Samhain holiday where they talk about the idea of the thinness of the veil. But then, think about Halloween itself, where it's a celebration of costume and being someone else for a little while, and that idea of fantasy. So great times to be able to go to your tarot deck, and the idea of celebrations and parties that happen. And of course, I also think, it sits in Scorpio season, which is also a nice time to be able to go deep with questions and with inquiries. So there you go. That's our justification for getting all costumed up today, and while using some Halloween specific decks, as well as focused on some Halloween specific spreads. So having said all of that, Bonnie, how are you doing today?
I'm great. I will jump at any chance to dress up for Halloween. So I think I probably dragged Peter into this being like, okay, we should dress up again for another Halloween episode. So here we are. It's so much fun. It's, I love this time of year. I'm happy to have this opportunity to share some things that Peter and I love to do around this time of year. Some of the decks, I have so many decks that I could use for Halloween, and it was hard for me to decide what I was going to use today. So, just so much out there that goes with the theme of Halloween and all of the energy that comes around at this time of year, which is already what you've mentioned. So I'm excited.
Yeah, look, I had other Halloween costume options as well, but they involve makeup, and I know myself, anytime I put facial makeup on, I have a tendency to, maybe go to my beard or go to my stash or go to my face, and it doesn't work. So this year's costume actually is, for me, is going to be, is Pennywise the Clown.
Yes. Oh, there's a lot of commitment involved in that.
Right, there totally is. The makeup, and one of the options, I don't think I would have done Pennywise, probably a little on the creepy side for the podcast, but I have done the Wizard of Oz before, so it's easy to do a great big bald head. I already have one. So just, I still have a lot of the green makeup left, but I would have been completely in green, makeup, and that would have been sweaty and itchy. And
I get it, Peter. I didn't go full makeup either. Like this is easier for me just to put this kind of stuff on. So
that's a look that suits you. That's a look that suits you. You almost look like you're ready, to be sitting there with your crystal ball. You got it, crystal ball sitting in front of you. All right. So do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
It doesn't matter to me. We really should work this out before we press record, shouldn't we?
We should. All right.
What do you want to do, Peter?
I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead. I developed two spreads. So the one I'm going to share today is actually called the Trick or Treat spread. So what it means is, great time for me to use Barbara Moore's Trick or Treat deck. It's a deck that I always take out at this time of year. I think, unlike you, I don't have a large collection of Halloween themed decks, but I've got a few. I could have chosen Todd Alcott's The Horror Tarot. Part of the reason why I didn't take it is because Horror Tarot is very hard to say. So I would, right? Horror Tarot. Try and say that 5 times fast. So this is, I thought of 2 of them, and I'll share the trick or treat spread. I thought of themes around trick or treat. So I thought of things like, the concept of trick or treat itself, the idea of candy, the idea of a party. We have friends who host a trick or treat or a Halloween party every year. It's a big deal in our friend circle. We all have to choose a costume. There's competition, and we get pretty elaborate with our costumes. So costume was another theme. So this is a 4-position spread that focuses on 4 questions around those themes. So the first question is called the costume. And the question is, well, what new role or a new identity wants to emerge? The idea being that a costume is when, we're presenting ourselves as something that is new or something that we're not, and thought it was a great theme to be able to ask the tarot. Second question is the trick. So that's, what illusion or distraction has me fooled? So what kind of things might be, hidden or where we're unaware of, and they're leading us down perhaps leading us down the garden path. The third question is the treat. And that was, what sweet reward awaits when I show my true self. So kind of links, the trick and the treat are sort of linked between that concept of illusion, the idea perhaps a false role that we're taking on, and then the reward that comes once we take that mask off and show our true self. And then the last one's simply called the party, and it's a card or, maybe 2 cards, if that's what you choose to draw for each position, that answers the question, what am I meant to celebrate, and share with others? So that whole idea of party concept. For those, just so that you have an idea of this process, when I work with the tarot, when I'm creating a spread, this is the process I go through a lot. I love working with thematic questions. So I've talked before here about the Cards of the Zodiac series that I'm using. And with every card of the Zodiac, I have at least 5 questions that are based on either the time of the year, the sign, the card that's associated with it. So I love this kind of work. I love, thinking, okay, well, we have themes around Halloween or we have themes around Samhain. What kind of questions can I ask that are linked to the theme? I don't know about you, Bonnie, but I think it's really powerful work that plays with both the calendar, whether it's the calendar, like the Gregorian calendar, the one that we use all the time, October 31st and Halloween and, general cultural celebrations, or whether, it's the lunar calendar or any other calendar questions that you can ask that link to, the full moon or the new moon or, the sign that's there or an astrological transit that's happening. But anyways, this is the spread. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it, and I'm going to interpret the cards that show up, and we're going to see how that goes. So I always want to intentionally think, how many cards am I going to draw? Because of time here, I'm just going to draw 1 card per question, focusing on the costume, the trick or treat, the trick and the treat, and the party. All right, so here we go. It's giving this a really, really good shuffle, and I'm going to lay the cards out. So we've got the costume, we have the trick, we have the treat, and we have the party. And the costume question we have is judgment. Interestingly enough, around what a question. So what new identity or role wants to emerge? And the card that we get is a card of emergence. So when I think about this, I think, it almost signals the fact that to me, I don't know if it identifies the costume itself, other than identifying perhaps the idea that whatever this is, whatever you discover is that new identity, you need to scream it loud and proud. That, the judgment card is saying, it might even be saying it's the identity that you carry right now is enough. that, who you are in this particular moment, that you're looking, the question says, what new identity or role wants to emerge. And the judgment card might be saying nothing, actually. Who you are in this present time, that idea, the judgment card that kind of says, you are enough as you are at this point, is something that, that needs to come out, that the self that you are needs to come out. I don't know. That's what I would say in that position one. Bonnie, what about you? Again, I have the question written in front of me because I did the spread, but the idea is what new identity or role wants to emerge. And do you have anything to add about the judgment card coming up in that kind of a position?
We've said this a million times on this podcast before. You can't make this stuff up. So for me, quite honestly, whenever the judgment card comes up, either for me or if I'm reading for a client, I literally say, and this is funny because this is going to tie into the spread that I'm going to share later, but it's like, what mask are you ready to take off, right? And I believe that's Chris Ann. Sort of, she has that analogy in the Light Seers Tarot, but it's like, yes, you're right. It's an emergence, but it's like, who have I been, appearing to others as to sort of suit everybody else. And like what you're saying, it's like you're already worthy exactly as you are. So it's time to like release all of those expectations and judgments that other people put on you to show up as somebody else and just be exactly who you are. So I'm like, I can feel that. That's right? Like, yeah.
I know. It's always, because we do this at almost every episode. And where we, kind of shuffle and draw, whether it's a card for an interpretation at the end of the episode or whether we're doing through spreads. And I always have, I don't want to say it's a moment of anxiety, but it's that concept of, well, what happens if, the card really doesn't link to the question. And, and I mean, I know we don't record this podcast live, but we do in many ways. Like there's very little editing that goes into what we're doing. It's, you're pretty much getting our stream of consciousness as we go, our interpretations as we go. And I know we've done episodes before. I'm like, what do you do when you're stuck? But it has yet to happen. It's like I can't think of a card that would be better suited for this question, that idea of an emerging identity, and to think about how applicable that would be to so many people, where we think, oh my goodness, what new being do I have to show to the world? And what does the tarot say? You know what? You've actually got it the way you are. Like you're trying to look for a new something, and the thing that you are, the person that you are, the I am that is you is enough. So announce that to the world. Let the trumpets blare that you are who you are, and the end, right? The end. This is Judgment Day, and this is you are who you absolutely are. So that's beautiful. All right, I'm going to stop it there. That's enough. Now I'm not looking at the other. No, I'm just teasing. Looking at the other three cards. So, what illusion or distraction has me fooled? Card that shows up is the Eight of Wands. So again, if I see a card like this one around the the idea of illusion or distraction that has me fooled, I would think right away of the concept of speed, the idea that that life is moving quickly, or the idea that something is out of your grasp because it has moved beyond your grasp, the idea that something that you're quite passionate about has escaped you. Or even the idea, to go back to sometimes the concept we talk about with this card, even the idea of a trip, is it because this is talking about a distraction or something that's fooled you. Then to me, I think this card speaks of that the distraction is sort of speed or movement related, that you are thinking that something is unattainable because it has moved out of reach, because it's going quickly. And that the tarot is saying that's an illusion, that it's actually not going as quickly as you think, that you actually have you have more time than you think to be able to be engaged in whatever that happens to be, and then the tongue-in-cheek me goes, well, and if it's a trip, you might think that the trip is out of reach, and, this card might be saying, maybe not as far out of reach as you want. That trip that you wanted to head down south in January to get away, to head to the Caribbean or, head wherever it's going to be to get out of the Canadian cold, you might be able to just do that. You might think that you don't have the capacity, but the Eight of Wands is saying you absolutely do. So for me, that would be It would be the illusion of movement and swiftness, the concept that you feel stuck, that you think you can't move, or do you think that something has moved out of your reach? And the Eight of Wands in that position with all the flying bats here in the lovely Trick or Treat card is saying that's not it. That's not true at all. What do you think?
Yeah, I love that. And I think too, the illusion is like, and if we link that back to the Judgment card of, like you're ready to emerge as you are, or like finding what it is that you love to do and coming into that. And sometimes we think that that's not possible because we're so stuck in like this fast paced life that we live in. Right. And there like isn't really time to like rediscover who actually we really are. Right. Or like, things are moving so quickly that it's impossible to either step into what your purpose is or just show up as you are. But the illusion is like, no, like, yeah, things are moving, but how can you still show up as you or have this rebirth from that Judgment card, even though you think that it's so fast, you can't stop and do what it is you want to do? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to tie in those two cards together.
I love that. Thank you for that.
About the illusion of like, and we get caught up in that every day, right? Like we wake up and we do the exact same things we did yesterday. We do that today. We'll do that tomorrow. Until something changes, nothing is going to stop. And then we were even talking about time earlier. It's like, my God, there's not enough time in the day to do everything that we want to do. So that illusion stops us from maybe prioritizing what's really important. So... But I love the trip concept. Like, if you think a trip is not possible for you right now, I like go for it.
I know, and I was only being because kind of tongue in cheek, because often that that Eight of Wands card, I'll sometimes say to a client, talk about the Eight of Wands as a concept, but then talk about the tarot sometimes being very literal and practical. The Eight of Wands could be about taking flight somewhere. So, are you planning a trip somewhere where you're going to have to jump on a plane and go? Because the Eight of Wands can be a card like that as well. But I love how you tied the two together, because you're right. Sometimes, or if we're, looking at that idea of identity, sometimes we're so stuck in the idea that things are moving quickly that, we forget that, I guess we are who we are, and we are who we are in that time and space kind of as it moves as well. Like, so if time is moving quickly, we're actually moving with it as well. And we're growing with the 24 hours of the day and the 7 days of a week, that even though we may not see the development and see the growth, that it's also happening as well. So, all right. Should I look at the next card?
Sometimes let's do it.
Great. I know. All right. So this is the treat. So what sweet reward awaits when I show my true self? Honest to God, cannot make this stuff up.
Okay, let me think about this.
Think about this.
What?
So if Eight of
I know the
Wands
card.
is
I know
about
what you're
swiftness
pulling.
and movement,
Yeah.
we're thinking about this, then of course, once we realize what illusion is happening, the Four of Swords is so we literally have the card of swiftness and stillness side by side. So I don't want to spend a ton of time on this because it's almost, they almost speak for themselves. If we recognize that, things are not going as quickly as we think, then what is the sweet reward? The sweet reward is that idea of stillness, the idea that we have time to be with ourselves, that we have time to be in our own space, that we have time to be who we are and who we want to be. So again, and I love this. This card is actually, the idea of stillness. It's a vampire sitting in their stone, in their stone coffin with the kind of three stones above. I always think of the Rider-Waite with the what looks like a knight kind of lying on a stone tablet, again, looking like they're resting. Always often call this the card of meditation, that card of quiet and stillness. So what a great reward. It could even be the quieting of the mind. If the idea of that fast-paced, continuous, life cycle, everything moving, when we realize that that's an illusion, when we realize that that's the trick, then the treat is that things start to move that much slower, that we're, kind of living our life, not at the speed of life, but at the sort of pace of life. We're taking the time to use the cliche, we're taking the time to stop and smell the roses, for example, that, we're really getting a chance to enjoy. So I don't know. Bonnie, what do you think? Anything to add or any different interpretations with that Four of Swords? Now I'm excited to look at the last card because
I know.
I
You're
laid
like
them down face down. I never do that. I always do them face up. And this time something called me to put them face down and kind of reveal them one at a time. So I don't know what card 4 is. So.
Yeah, you're totally speaking my language with that Four of Swords. And you know what? Again, you can't make this stuff up.
No.
Because I teach meditation, right? I teach yoga. So for me, the Four of Swords is like my Yoga Nidra card. It's like the Yoga Nidra meditation card. And I often tell people, right? Because we are so caught up in the busyness of life. We're like, I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to like go within, right? But it's like, when you actually take that time for stillness and that time for rest, you create more time in your day because we spend so much time spinning all day long, right? We're like, our nervous systems are dysregulated. We're always on high alert. We're like stressed out. When you're stressed out, you can't think clearly and you think the same thoughts that you thought the day before. So this is why we just continue repeating these patterns in our lives. When you actually take time to rest and take time to like regulate your nervous system and calm down and activate that like rest and relaxation, your world opens up so much to like clarity and vision and then your body can exhale and relax. And you're actually creating more space and more time in your day because your mind isn't constantly putting out fires and running marathons. So it is phenomenal that those two cards. So if you're listening, I hope our audience is actually being like, oh my God, like the tarot has a message for me.
Correct, right?
These aren't just examples of like us pulling cards on a spread. Like this is real world, real life stuff that we're talking about. So yeah, you can't make this up. I think that's phenomenal.
Right? The trick or treat combination of the 8 of Wands and the 4 of Swords. That is absolutely brilliant. All right. So the last card is the party card, right? And it's what is meant to be celebrated or shared? The King of Cups. Right? So such a beautiful card. And, when I take a look at this card, and for me, and people, longtime listeners would know, I like to associate to the King of Cups. For me, the King of Cups was always when I was working as an educational leader, was always who I wanted to personify. My aspiration would have be like the King of Cups. So it's the idea of that outwardly expressed leadership that is heart-based. So when I look at that, kind of the idea of, the emergent self, you're enough who you are, the first question, the trick or treat concept of there's an illusion of quick movement. You need to slow things down. The idea of what do we need to be celebrated and shared, and for me, when I'm looking at this, I look at that King of Cups card as my true self, but then I also think about the idea of leadership over and control over our emotions, the idea of and the ability to outwardly support others who might be going through a similar journey where, there might be emotional turbulence as they're trying to discover their own identity, as they're trying to navigate the concept of time, of quickness and stillness. The idea that this party, what needs to be celebrated, I guess, and I'm taking this one personally, is what I would need to celebrate for me would be, because I associate so personally the King of Cups, would be that emergence of true self. It's like the cards are almost saying, you know what, Peter, the identity that you're looking for is that King of Cups. And the end result is what you would need to celebrate by recognizing that, you have lots of time, that time is actually not your enemy, and that to allow yourself stillness, to be able to give yourself more time, that what you need to celebrate and then share is kind of the emergence of that King of Cups persona that you're always trying to exemplify. That's kind of what, I would look at. But then I think of the elements of the King of Cups that might also be things that could be celebrated as well, on their own. Like I said, that idea of emergence leadership in those spaces of intuition and compassion and companionship and relationship and emotion. Those things that the King of Cups does so well and can actually help support others in getting better and stronger in those aspects of their lives. So I don't know. That's my interpretation of those 4 cards and my interpretation of the last one. Bonnie, I would love, for you to add your insights and interpretation as well.
Yes, Peter, everything that you just said, 100%. And what I may add a little bit to that is just really embracing your own intuition, because I believe like the cup suit really helps us to embody our intuition. Also the love of relationships, like the relationships in your life. How can you nurture those relationships? How can you nurture your own intuition? How can you nurture compassion for the self as you have that compassion for other people? So really celebrating those qualities that you hold within yourself, really coming back to the heart and being like, what do I really love in life about my relationships with the people that I really love the most? And then really embodying that intuition, but with this joy, this coming from the heart and this flow of energy, right? So I think that's a beautiful gift to receive, right? As the party and what to celebrate. Who doesn't want to celebrate a little King of Cups energy?
Right. And I always think too, the King of Cups, almost they almost embody that idea of life coach, kind of a heart-based life coach. So you think if the trick and the treat kind of give you the life lessons that you've learned, and then you're modeling and embodying that, the people who connect to you are learning from you through example. That, if you were changing the way you kind of walk through life as that King of Cups, that those pieces of intuition, those pieces of connection, those pieces of love and empathy and compassion are influencing them and the choices that they make, because the King of Cups to me is always, it is always an outward based leadership, and one that can have people following them in their example. So, and you're right. And then not only is it, not only is it a gift, that it also embodies the second part of that question is, well, what do we share? We share with others the lessons that we've learned kind of going through that kind of trick or treat period, that, moving from speed to stillness. So. Lovely. Oh, wow.
What a great reading, Peter.
It's a great, yeah. And I want to point out as well, so with the spreads, what we'll do is we'll include kind of the spread questions in the show notes. So if you want to try these on your own, then the questions will be there for you to give them to give them a shot, because I think they would be great. They're great spreads to have in this Halloween season. So there you
awesome.
Go. All right. You're up now.
I'm up.
I'm
feeling like super energized from that reading, Peter. Wow.
I'm going to thank the tarot. Thank the tarot for your insight and your guidance. I'm just going to put the cards back in, give them a little bit of a shuffle.
Okay. So the spread that I'm going to introduce today is called Behind the Mask. So funny that we were talking about the Judgment card earlier. For Halloween during this season, a lot of times we wear masks, but masks can just be how we dress up, right? Like technically I don't have a mask on my face, but this costume is symbolic of a mask. So there's 4 cards in the spread, and I'll just let you know what each one is, and then we'll go through in detail when I pick the cards. So the first card is the mask. So what am I showing to the world? Like, how am I presenting? The second card is the truth. So what's actually hidden underneath that? The third card is the reveal. So what's ready to be seen and accepted? And then the fourth card is the unmasking. So how can I move forward more authentically? So yeah, and I'm like you, I'm like, oh, what if I pull cards and I'm not going to be able to articulate that? But, again, the whole reason we use the tarot is to build our own intuition. And we were talking a little bit about this with the King of Cups. It's like not being afraid to pull a card and then just allowing whatever to come through, opening up that channel of information. So yeah, we take a chance. We don't know what's going to come, but that's the beauty. It's the beauty of life, right? Every day, is the unknown. We never know what's going to happen. And, but the whole point is to show up and do it anyway, right? So,
yeah. And be vulnerable be vulnerable and open as to what happens.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to use, so this is not technically a Halloween deck, but we could use it around this season. This is the Tarot of the Haunted House by Sasha Graham. I love Sasha. I love all her work. And I thought, oh, what a fun thing to do. Like to go, this deck sort of resembles being in a like an actual haunted house. So, okay, let's see what comes up. I'm nervous. So this is Behind the Mask. Okay. Just gonna pull my cards and then I will reveal them. So funny doing this
I know, right?
live like this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think this is the first time we've done like multi-card spreads as part of the podcast. I'm trying to think. I can't remember. We're 63 or 64 episodes in. So.
Okay, The Mask. What am I showing the world? Are you ready? Interesting. Okay. This is the King of Pentacles.
Okay.
What am I showing the world with the King of Pentacles? Okay. So I think with this, it's like, okay, I'm trying to like figure out, because, I don't think I'm the King of Pentacles in the way of like if we were to think of the King of Pentacles as this, this king who has built so much wealth and success, and they're at the point now in their lives where they can share that with other people. I think what I'm showing the world is that is possible for you. Like, I think in a lot of the work that I do, it's like helping people to understand what is possible for them when we shift our mindset or when we bring in these other practices, right? To sort of broaden that horizon. So I think for me, the message is like, being generous in whatever way generosity means for you. That could be your time. That could be your energy. That could be, again, gratitude, right? We always come back to gratitude with the Pentacles. It's like when we embrace gratitude, then we have more to be grateful for, right? Like when we embrace scarcity, then we just feel more scarce, right? And we feel more lack in our lives. But when we embrace gratitude, even for the things that we have now, that produces more gratitude. So I think what I'm trying to show the world that's possible when we know that everything doesn't have to be about material things, right? It could just be about like how we love what we already have and how we can be grateful for what we already have. And then that builds more. I don't know if that makes sense or not. This card is like,
yeah, I think it makes sense. I love how you interpret it. Well, I love the process of, because I'm with you. When I saw the card at first, it's like, oh, how would I interpret that inside this particular space? And what was the question again? So that
what am I showing the world? So what's the mask, right?
And I thought because you were thinking of it from your perspective. And then I think, to me, the king is always an expert, right? Because the king has reached kind of, a pinnacle of rulership and expertise. And they've done it in the realm of pentacles. And then I love how you talk about the idea of gratitude. And I always think right away, even just learning that gratitude, the pentacles is where we found gratitude, is something I've actually learned from you, an expert in that field. But then I also think, you talked about, well, what if you're looking at it from your perspective, well, what do? You teach meditation. And yoga. There are hardly two practices that are more grounding than those two practices. And groundedness is also something that we find in the suit of Pentacles. So the King of Pentacles is also a place of groundedness. It is expertise in grounded practice. It is somebody who, and not only are they experts in grounded practice, they are, as I mentioned, with King of Cups had showed before, they're in a position where they're now outwardly sharing that expertise with others. So, you read into that what you want as far as the King of Pentacles goes. But I think about that idea of groundedness, that idea of practical, and that's the other thing, right? You talk about your own tarot practice or your own meditation practices, your own yoga practices. All three of those are grounded in practical daily experiences on how they're integrated into kind of day-to-day routine and day-to-day life. Again, something that a realm that the King of Pentacles rules. They show clear expertise inside that area. So, that would be my, like I said, I loved everything you said, and just adding to it that sort of different, I would add that a little bit of that different spin.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, it's so true when we think about pentacles and the day-to-day thing, right? It's like those things, those routines, those things that we do every day. And it's our bodies, it's our homes, it's all of those things. So yeah, thank you for bringing that into my awareness. And it's funny, I think, because when I think about the masks that we wear, I automatically go to like, oh, like it's a negative thing. But what if it's actually a positive thing?
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
The mask doesn't have to be negative. So, and the mask could even be like, if we want to take it a step further, it's like, okay, right, I'm showing this mask of like, this is possible for you. So what I have to realize is that is also possible for me.
Right.
Right. So, whoa, this went deep. Okay.
All right. And yeah, like I said, we've gone 4 cards in one spread, one in the other. If any of you who are watching or listening are resonating with any of these questions, we would love to hear that as well. If, they're tying to your experience, if you've got an interpretation of the card, if you're comfortable sharing, either, how it relates to you, we would love to hear from you. We would love to hear your interpretations as well. To be able to just add to the mix as to what these cards mean with those questions. So.
Yeah. And the other thing too, that I just wanted to add to that as well, if people are listening, like I was reading that more as if it were for me, but if we sort of broaden that a little bit, it's like, if we do look at the King of Pentacles as somebody who has created all of this wealth, is the mask that you're wearing to show up as like, look at what I've created in my life because of everything that I've accumulated, right? Because that's not the true you. The true you lies beneath that. Like, it's great. I mean, we need wealth, we need money to survive, and it's wonderful to share that. But sometimes we hold on to this, right? Almost like Four of Pentacles energy of like, oh my God, like I need all of these things to satisfy my desires, but that's the illusion, right? That could be the mask. So,
and it's, if we think about the idea of coins or pentacles and what they represent, well, they represent value. But if we think value actually has two very clear meanings, the value of something as in its monetary value. But then there's the other side of that. There's, well, what do we value, as in what do we hold important to us? What aligns with our principles? What aligns with our values, with the things that we hold dear? So pentacles can represent those two things. They're talking about value as in value of wealth, but then value as in the day-to-day things that we hold important, that we hold important.
And I think I've said this before in my newsletter when I've pulled these certain cards. It's like, what does wealth actually mean to you? And I read recently, I heard, but it was like health is wealth, and health is only important when you don't have it, right? It's kind of one of those things. So if we actually look at our life, it's like, what does wealth actually mean to you? So. Okay. Right. So I've put this card. So this is a 4-card spread, and I've done it like a square. So the first card is on top. The second card, the truth, what's hidden underneath, is the next card. Okay. And this is this the page or the knight? Oh my gosh, I get confused because it doesn't say. I'm pretty sure this is the Knight of Cups. So what's hidden underneath? What's hidden underneath the mask that we wear? So if we're wearing this mask as the King of Pentacles, but what's actually underneath the King of Pentacles is this sensitive, this dreamer,
the poet,
the poet, right? The person that's really, right? Like if we think of pentacles as like the outside stuff, what's really underneath is like all the emotional stuff, right? Like what we talked about, similar to the King of Cups. It's like our intuition, that dreamy nature, that anything is possible, being vulnerable, being sensitive, allowing life to flow. So yeah, that's a really interesting dynamic between those two cards in terms of what we're showing, but what's actually underneath. So what I would say about that card is really embracing your sensitivity, embracing your vulnerability, following your dreams, like whatever that is, and not allowing the perception of what other people will think to stop you from doing what really excites you. And sometimes creativity sits in the suit of cups, even though that also sits in wands, but it's like, not being afraid not being afraid to show up as you, right? Like this beautiful, sensitive, vulnerable you, and doing what you love to do and following that. So that's what I would have to say about the Knight of Cups. What would you add to that, Peter? What's your spin on that?
I wouldn't add much. I love what you said about the Knight of Cups. I would, my interjection with the poet is probably where I would go. That idea of, what wants to emerge. I picture, we have the Mask of the King of Pentacles, and, it's almost like we have, the Knight of Cups bubbling underneath. The only thing I would add is that knights are also action oriented. So kind of what's bubbling underneath is somebody who's really dying to move forward with this cups based energy. So, if it is the poet or the lyricist or, the bohemian it's
the magician, or not the magician, sorry, the musician.
It's somebody who is, they're dying to come out and act in that kind of space. That they're wanting to charge forward with that Knight of Cups energy. So that's what the mask is that's what's behind the mask. If the mask is holding back something that really actually wants to be out there and doing something, right? Because knights are all about adventure. They're all about, doing the thing. So if it was music, then it would be, what's behind the mask is somebody wants to perform. They want to be out there showing what they've got. Whether it's good or not, they just want to be, they want to be action oriented in that. If it's the poet, if it's the artist of any kind, they want to be out there, acting inside. If it's the actor, they want to be acting inside that space. So Knight of Cups, that's,
Yeah, and interesting too, from a broader perspective, again, it's like if you're showing up as the King of Pentacles, and maybe you're in a job that's the money is really great, right? And you're able to build this incredible life around that. But the real desire underneath that, what is that? And is that stopping you from right? Like sometimes we hide our dreams, or we don't allow the dreams to come, right? And I often talk about that in the Devil card. It's like we suppress the things that we're really good at. We suppress our talents. We suppress our desires. So maybe this is what wants to start coming up, is like those dreams that we have and those things that we love. So, okay, what's ready to be seen and accepted? Oh. The Fool.
Right.
Oh, okay. It's all coming together. Okay, so what's ready to be seen and accepted with the Fool? Taking risks, taking that leap of faith, going forward, even though you don't know where the path is going to go, right? Like, I think the thing that stops us when we want to do something is the fear of the unknown. Well, we don't know what's going to happen. I could fall flat on my face if I walk off the cliff or succumb to my death, right? But it's like the Fool really encourages us to take that leap of faith, do that thing that's been calling you, and to know that you're going to be supported. Like, if you do take that leap of faith, you'll be held, you'll be supported. And it's giving you the encouragement to actually go after that. It's also like spontaneity and fun and adventure, right? So like, what is stopping you from actually, like, this is the part of you that wants to be seen and accepted. So again, if we go back through all the cards, it's like, if there's this thing that you really want to do, and that's what's hidden underneath, and you're presenting as the King of Pentacles, that's like, okay, I have my job and I make all this money, is that in alignment? Or even if you still continue to do what you're doing, how can you still bring this part of you that wants this adventure, that wants to try something new? So yeah, that's ready for you. What would you add to that, Peter?
Not like, again, I love where you went with this. I always think that there are two things I would add. One, I always think of the Fool as the card that says "dance as if nobody is watching,"
Oh,
right?
I love
Because
that.
it's just that. It is the idea that, be foolish, don't
Mhm.
be afraid to embrace the inner fool. The other thing that I wanted to point out, and this kind of just came to me, when you take a look, you buy a brand new deck, where is the King of Pentacles?
Ah,
It is the
yes.
very last card in the deck. Where is
Hmm.
the Fool? It is at the very beginning of the deck. We literally
Yes.
have card 1 telling us, where we want to be. It's sometimes it's like, okay, well, go right back to the beginning. Maybe you can't restart the
Mhm.
journey, but think about the emotions that you had when that King of Pentacles journey started. What was it that brought you there? What was the joy that drove you? What was the impetus for taking the first step of that journey? And
Mhm.
remind yourself of that as well. So sometimes it's also go back to that very, very first, not even the first step, the potential of the first step. You're standing on that precipice, or, again, I think of the Seeker card with, Joanna Powell Colbert's, the guy in tarot deck. You haven't even started the journey. You're standing there at the very top of the hill, looking out over the meadow and going, okay, I see the path in front of me, but I don't know what it contains. So
Mhm.
that was,
I
I
love
just,
that, Peter,
you know,
how you brought those two together because that's so true. It's like the King of Pentacles is the pinnacle. It's the end of the
yeah.
journey. It's like you've
Mhm.
done it, like you've mastered it. And now it's like we're coming back,
Mhm.
right? So you've done the thing, you've got what you came here to get, or you're working on that. And now it's like, okay, let's go back and like embrace that dreamer and then take that leap and do what you actually want to do without blowing up your life. Like you don't have to quit your job, right?
Right.
To follow your passions or do something that you're excited about. So,
No, but sometimes when we get to a certain stage, we forget what brought us there in the first place. We forget,
mhm.
the initial decision of the seed that was planted that started us on that particular journey. And sometimes the Fool card is a reminder or an invitation for us to remember what it was that started us out along that path in the first place, that brought us to where we happen to be, that brought us to the King of Pentacles mask. Well, remember, at one point in time, the King of Pentacles was the Fool.
Exactly, exactly. And sometimes when we reach the end, we kind of, forgot, like, why did we actually we did this so that we could have money, so that we could enjoy our life and we could
Mhm.
do the things that make us happy, right? So it's bringing that
Mhm.
energy back, right?
Mhm.
It's not all about work, but about enjoying life. Okay. So this is now the unmasking. How
Okay.
can I move forward more authentically? Ready?
Yep.
This is kind of a disturbing. Of course, I had to pick the most disturbing card in the
What do you have? The Nine of Swords that's coming up?
No, it's just the image on the card.
Oh.
So this is Tarot of Haunted House. So this is the Ace of Swords, and it
Oh,
has
okay.
like a sword kind of in front of
Interesting.
a wrist. I
Right.
mean, nothing is cut, but um, okay, this is an idea. So
Mhm.
how can I move forward authentically?
Mhm.
Uh, I think it's like being open to create to new ideas, right? Sometimes we get stuck in the everyday things, and it's funny how this reading is kind of overlapping a little bit with your reading, right? It's like when we take that time for stillness and
Mhm.
reflection, then ideas can come to us, right? And then we have inspiration, and then we have the energy to go after what it is that we want. So I think the unmasking is to be open to new ideas and to be open to like I'm getting this right because we think about swords. It's like communication. It's our thoughts. It's how we speak. So it's like, how can these thoughts come in now, right? Like, how can we create space for these new thoughts to come in and then not cloud those ideas or those thoughts with anything else other than doing what it is that we want to do? I don't know. Does that make sense,
Yeah,
Peter?
yeah, it makes perfect sense. So, see that Ace of Swords as an invitation as well. So, and I think of the two last cards as beginning cards. We have the Fool and we have the Ace of Swords. So the
Mhm.
idea of, what are we open to? And if we're talking about the Fool as sort of the possibility of new adventure, then the Ace of Swords is, it might be the new ideas that are sort of driving that. It might be the seeds that are planted of new thoughts. Maybe there are new conversations that we're having as well with people. So it's being open to communication, conversation, that those are all sword-like things. So I always think that aces are very much like the little fools in the minor arcana, is that, they are like the fool, they are potential of things that can come. I'd like to look at the morbid image that's there. I can only imagine that, the sword sitting across the wrist, there's potential for all kinds of things, including the potential that the sword comes off the wrist and, and does other things. I always think, we don't know what's laying ahead of us when an ace shows up. It's that the possibilities that lay in front of us are endless, but they start somewhere. They start with a new idea. They start with, and maybe they start with, new words. We were talking about the Knight of Cups, and the emergence, what's behind the mask, that it is, maybe it's the artist, maybe it's the lover, maybe it's that compassionate person. The Ace of Cups might be inviting us to start on that journey and saying, okay, well, if it is the musician that's behind the mask, then write a bloody song. Sit down and get something done, right? Use that idea to do something, create a poem, write the first line, write the first verse, have the conversation with somebody who maybe you admire inside that space. Start the new conversation, right? If it's an invitation, then do it.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that. Just starting the conversation with somebody. So if the fool is like what's ready to be seen and accepted, it's
Correct.
like, okay, you're getting this permission slip to like actually go and do something. And now, like, how can you move forward more authentically? Listen, right? Like, you have these ideas, right? Like we all have ideas. And then sometimes it's having the courage to speak that out loud, right? Like once you tell somebody about an idea that you have or something that you want to do, you're bringing it into this material world, which comes back again to that King of Pentacles, right? About like how we manifest, how we create in this material world. So it's kind of all coming back full circle. It's like taking that idea, doing what it is that you love, not trying to overanalyze it, and then bringing it into the material world, into form. So yeah, there is a lot. We talked about a lot of stuff today, Peter.
We did, but we did it, under the premise of 2 spreads that we created around that, Halloween theme. So, to kind of come full circle, we talk about with Halloween coming, what kind of work, and it being a great time for a variety of reasons to do tarot work. Well, what kind of work can you do? So, again, Bonnie and I have laid out 2. Well, we've actually created 4, and we'll share them in the notes for people if they want to use them. We've created some spreads for you to be able to use, but it's also an invitation to use those themes to create questions of your own. They're great ways to be able to work with the tarot, to think about, themes that are coming, whether they're holiday-based themes, whether they're astrological-based themes, whether they're just life themes, drawing a card in the morning and thinking about, what is rising for me in this day and making that your draw, creating those spreads that are based on things that happen in our lives is a great way to use the tarot. And I've said this again, it's one of the reasons why Bonnie and I do this podcast, is we want to make it so much easier for you to use the tarot as a tool in everyday life. And this is one of those ways to be able to do that. We got so much guidance and insight from 8 simple cards. Like, and keep in mind, 2 spreads, 78 cards in the deck. We only used 8 of them. And, we've had all kinds of insight that's been shared.
And no repeating cards. I thought, I'm like, it'll be interesting to see if I pull any of the cards that you pulled in your spread, but
no, none. I know.
That was great, Peter. What a fantastic episode. So much information in these spreads. I think I'm going to have to sit with all of this because even when we do readings for other people, we're all connected. We're co-creating space together. So, what you pulled is going to have it's going to resonate with me. The cards that I pulled perhaps resonate with other people. So this really is a time to think about these messages, take what feels really good for you, what doesn't really land, let that go. And I'm excited to sit with this information and see.
Oh,
See this new leap of faith that I have to take.
yeah. Well, me too. And like you said, and some of the cards that both you drew and that I drew that resonated with me also. Like I always think you can get a real personal connection, to the cards. And when we do these, I'll call them, practice readings or readings for our podcast episodes or for the collective, they often become personal readings anyways, because I'm like, oh my, is the tarot talking to me? Is it talking to me? Are you talking to me? Like that's what comes out of that. So I hope that that's, other people's experience as well. So
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah. And we want to invite you, if you have your own tarot spreads that you use or your own practices around this time of year, we would love to hear about them. Please share those with us. Please like and subscribe. You can leave a really nice comment. We would love that. But yeah, if you have other people that love tarot or are curious, please share our episode with them. And we'd love to hear from you. So drop in, say hi, ask us a question, share what you'd like to share with us. And and Peter, do you want to let everybody know where they can find you,
Sure.
what you have coming up?
Yep. I'll be quick. PeterWhiteTarot.com, tarotwithbonnieandpeter.com. 3 things I'd want to quickly highlight. The first, since we saw the King of Pentacles, I do actually want to express some gratitude. Last week, I did a talk through the experts in the library series in my local library. I thought we might get 5 or 6 people. We got 30. So if those of you who were there are now listening to our podcast, I just want to say a huge thank you. I got a lot of great feedback, but I had a blast. It was really fun to be able to share my love and passion for the tarot with people. So I wanted to state that. Bonnie came as well. So, thank you to you, to my co-host, for coming and lending your support, which was great. The other thing I'll mention, and to share, I guess, what both Bonnie and I do, so not to steal your thunder at all. This is a great time to read tarot. And if you're not to the point yet where you're comfortable reading for yourself, or you really want to experience reading from a professional tarot reader, both Bonnie and I do tarot work. So head to our respective websites and book a reading. That would be great. And the last thing I'll mention is this creation of spreads is something that I actually do relatively frequently through my own newsletters. So I often will do a spread through the energies of illumination, whether it's full or new moon. I used to do it with everyone, but I've cycled through an entire year, so I sometimes am becoming more selective. I also don't want to bombard people with emails in their newsletter. I usually send 1, maybe 2 a month, but they often involve self-created spreads. So if that's something that's of interest to you, I'll also put the link to how to sign up to my newsletter in the show notes as well. Sign up. Along with some of that practical stuff are often subscriber-only deals on some of my courses or on readings. I'd love to have you join my newsletter community. So that's the 3 things. I said I'd be quick, but quick is never my forte. Bonnie, what about you? Where can people find you? What kind of things have you got going on?
Yeah, so people can find me at tarotwithbonnieandpeter.com. Or they can go to my website, breathewithbonnie.com. Same. I have a newsletter. Sometimes I'm better. We go back to that 8 of Wands where things are really busy right now, and I haven't really been sending out a lot of emails, but same, I don't send out a ton of emails, but definitely when I have any classes or workshops coming up or any events, I will always put that in my newsletter. So if you'd like to sign up for that, you can definitely do so on my website. Yeah, if you'd like a tarot consultation or interested in doing some tarot work for yourself, then I also offer mentorship. And coming up in the next, hopefully, few weeks will be some somatic breath work sessions. So be on the lookout for that. Some really exciting things coming up, just not in the books yet, but coming. So thank you,
exciting.
Peter.
As soon as you said somatic breath, I don't know if you noticed, I took a breath in. No. That's great. Well, look, thank you for sharing that. And a huge thank you to everybody who is here, either watching or listening. We, do this because we're passionate about the tarot, but we also do that because we're passionate about sharing that passion with other people. And as Bonnie mentioned, like, share, comment, engage, however you can. Provide us with examples for upcoming episodes, guests that you'd like to see, because we're going to go back to our stable of guests and bring some guests back on. It's been a little while. Having said all of that, we hope you got something out of this particular episode, and we look forward to seeing you again next time on Tarot with Bonnie and Peter. Thanks again, everyone. So long.
Bye.